Hi, I'm Lindsay Nataki, pediatric speech-language pathologist, and I'm here today to help you work on speech and language at home. Today, I want to talk about autism in girls. Before we get started, if you like my channel and you like my videos, then please hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell on the side there so that I can reach more families and help more people like you. So this probably doesn't come to a surprise, but autism looks different in girls than it does in their male counterparts. So girls are usually misdiagnosed or overlooked and not diagnosed at all, or diagnosed later than their male counterparts. And this is because of a few things. Our tests are standardized on males, and there's a few characteristics that make it a little bit trickier for us to identify autism in girls, and we'll kind of go over that in a little bit. But I do want to talk about what that means that we're missing all of these girls that are on the spectrum. What usually happens is they are receiving the incorrect treatment or no treatment at all, and oftentimes they'll think that they're different or and not understand why. There's a few really good resources that I will link down below that shed some light on this issue. Sam is a girl with autism, and on her channel she talks about her own personal journey through it, talks about characteristics, and she's really enlightening to watch. So I highly recommend you go to her channel. Invisible Eye, same thing. Shannon at SLP Corner, she's on Instagram. She also has a podcast. And then Miss Peachy P is also on Instagram. And she has a whole highlight dedicated to identifying girls with autism. I will say that just as everything, just as always, autism is specific to that individual. You meet a child with autism, boy or girl, and you just met one child with autism. So these are just general things to look for, but again, seek out a professional if you really want some specific information. So let's talk about typical characteristics that we look for in kids with autism. We look for lack of joint attention, lack of eye contact, no response to name, obsession over certain topics or toys or characters, not being able to navigate conversations, and then also like a lot of repetitive movements, so flapping or eye stimming, things like that. Whereas girls with autism, they present more like neurotypical males, so typically developing males. In 2014, there is a psychologist, Thomas Frazier, in Cleveland, who conducted a study basically just confirming everything that I just said, that girls are being diagnosed later. And as someone who is a huge advocate and supporter of early intervention, all of those girls are missing out on crucial years of development. So now let's talk about how girls with autism are different. Number one, their Stims. So what we typically look for is like a lot of rocking or flapping or humming, any kind of movements in the fingers. What these girls are showing is that their Stims are more socially appropriate. So it might be chewing fingernails or biting their hair or tapping their foot. Number two, social skills. Girls are really good at masking their social deficits. They have that joint attention. They will look you directly in the eye. They can pick up on those social cues. And they might have like a little girl group where they run around with little girls around their age, but they're usually not the leader. They're following the direction of the other kids. Whereas the typical characteristics is males are pretty much loners. They kind of prefer to play by themselves or perimeter walk. And sometimes we will see this in girls as well. But those are easier to identify, and the harder part is to look at where the social deficit is actually breaking down. So, for example, I had a little girl who I was not sure if she's on the spectrum or not. We have a little group of kids playing with baby dolls. And when you give them the baby doll and you tell the kids, oh, look, the baby's crying, let's pat their back. The kids follow and pat the back. The little girl that I was kind of observing looked at everybody else and then picked up the baby and patted the back. And then I pulled her aside individually without the peer models because I noticed that she was kind of taking on their cues for a lot of these tasks. And I gave her the baby again and I said, oh, look, the baby's crying. And I just waited to see what she would do. And she just kind of looked around and she wasn't quite sure because she didn't have those peer models to follow anymore. So essentially girls can pick up on those social cues, but they don't always know how to connect and make those lasting relationships or lasting friendships. Number three, executive functioning. Girls with autism typically perform well academically. They can follow rules, they can follow social cues, but they might be a little bit of a procrastinator. So when they're really young, they might have a difficult time paying attention. They might have a difficult time following multiple step directions. They might have difficulty when tasks are changed or schedules changed. They might have difficulty with completing a task. And a lot of times they get misdiagnosed with ADHD or OCD because of this, because the symptoms are kind of similar. But when you put them all together, you can see, oh, this is autism. Number 4, special interests. So again, with typical autism characteristics, we're looking for obsessions over certain topics or certain characters, and they just can't get off of those topics. And that's very blatantly obvious, because when you're trying to have a conversation with someone with autism who is obsessing over a topic, you cannot get off of that topic. But with girls with autism, again, this is a little bit more socially appropriate. Yosemite Sam in her video talks about her interest was Friends, and if you mention Friends, she can tell you every episode, the guest star of the episodes, and the order that they're in, but she might not be dominating the conversation as blatantly as boys with autism. So what's important to note here is the intensity of the topic. So it's almost like an intense fixation. Number 5, they are also sensory. They are either hypersensitive or low sensitive to certain things. So they might be picky eaters, they might hate loud noises, they might hate large groups, and they might be sensitive to itchy clothes. Now again, just because you're sensory doesn't mean that you have autism, but a combination of all of these things can definitely help us educators and parents identify correctly. Number 6, mental health. Most girls with autism will be diagnosed with depression or anxiety, and let's kind of take a look why. So with depression and some anxiety, you know that there's something different with you. You know that you're having a hard time connecting, but you're not sure why. That, of course, can make you feel aloof and separated and withdraw into yourself a little bit. And again, same with social anxiety. You're not sure how to connect with people, and you can see that everybody else is doing this fairly easily, it looks like to you, but you're not picking up on it. And that's going to make you feel some type of way and definitely feel anxious or depressed and have other mental health issues as well. I can't stress enough how important it is for us educators to get this diagnosis right. It's really detrimental for every child to go through years without the right kind of treatment, and not knowing why they feel a certain way about some things or why they do certain things. Just knowing that why piece is so crucial to a child's development. So if you're an educator and you're not sure, keep going until you find the right answer. Collaborate with other professionals, because it's a team effort with the parents involved as well. So just keep going. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time I make a new video. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.